Let's start with the first one, the inbox. Here's what it looks like. Somehow, we can't do anything about that first column. That's our name. But we can do something about that second and third column. Second column being subject line, and the third column being the first 18 or so words of the first most important line. So let's talk a little bit about subject lines. Here's what I know in doing this for 15 years. Subject lines that are less than 4 words perform the best. And the reason for that is because most subject lines are more than 4 words. So again, just by nature of looking different, you can be a red X. Here's probably the best one. You actually have to know somebody that the prospect knows. So this would be a referral. It's about a 95% open rate on this one, but obviously you have to know someone. So via Amanda. How does this work? Let's say you make a cold call and the person says you need to get a hold of John and you spoke to Amanda. In the subject line, you could just merely say via Amanda. That's going to get a yes to the first question. Should I pay attention? Next, Bob sent me. Same idea, right? So you take the name of the person that you got the referral from and you put it right in the subject line. Bob sent me. Amanda sent me. Just the first name. Don't even need the last name. More casual, the better. Next, open to this with a question mark. Now, let me explain to you the psychology of this. If you've ever watched a series on Netflix, they all do the same thing during the last 5 minutes. They leave you hanging like a cliffhanger. It's called an open loop. And so that's why you binge watch shows. You have to know what happens next. Brains want to close the loop. So open to this is going to pique curiosity. Open to what? We're not tricking anybody. We're just creating a little curiosity. Next one, pancakes. Now let me give you the context. If you scanned your prospect's LinkedIn profile or you found something on them at social, mentions something about something they like or a hobby that they have, and you drop that in the subject line, that's going to be very relevant. That's going to get an open. So if someone mentions that they have an obsession for pancakes, or they do triathlons, or they like to run, or they have bikes, now we're going to have to obviously tie that in once we open it, but that's going to get a high open rate. Next one, problem question mark. We're going to talk a lot more about this in section 2. Is this interesting? But the one thing that brains always pay attention to are problems, not products. It's why you're hardwired not to step in a puddle. You don't want to get your shoes messed up. So subject would be arthritis if that's the problem you solve, with a question mark. Low cold email response rates, question mark. Next one will be this. Where the person worked and where they work now. So this is one that someone sent me that got an open. So I used to work at Jellyvision, and now I work at Basecamp. Again, we have to tie this into our message, but that's another one that's very relevant. It's going to get an open. Here's another open loop subject line. Josh seen this. Very difficult not to open that. Seen what? Getting attention is kind of easy. I could come in there and beat my horn right now. You're going to look for a second. Keeping attention, being interesting is much harder. We never want to trick anyone into opening an email, so we're going to have to tie this in once we get to the next section. Next, this is kind of a fun one. The audacity of this email. It's kind of a little bit, whoa, what is this? What did I do? What this is going to be, again, we're sort of piquing curiosity. Another one, job to be done at company. So this is for a company called Captivate IQ. They specialize in running compensation statements and determining payouts. So if they're prospecting into Gong, they would say compensation or comp at Gong. What about comp at my company? I better open this. This is for someone that's searching for AEs. So imagine you're a recruiter and you see that a company is looking for account executives, and you're sending it to someone named Mark who's going to manage those account executives, you could simply say AE for Mark. It's got my name in the subject line is kind of a little bit like crack, especially when you create an open loop. And finally, Mark's next AE, Mark's next account executive.